In little more than a year, the planet's best footballers will gather in Qatar for what will be the first World Cup staged in the Middle East. But deep-rooted concerns over Qatar's treatment of migrant workers in the gas and oil-rich Gulf state and protests from inside the game are becoming increasingly common. So, what is the result of these protests likely to be? The decision in December 2010 to name Qatar as host of next year's World Cup has been a source of great controversy ever since. And an alarmingly poor human rights record in the subsequent construction of 8 new stadiums has only heightened misgivings. UK newspaper The Guardian reported in February 2021 that 6,500 migrant workers from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka had died in Qatar over the decade since it was awarded the tournament, with many of these deaths said to have been related to working in extreme heat. Amnesty International has called it a World Cup of shame and alleged there have been cases of forced labour and exploitation. Qatar refutes that and maintains significant progress has been made owing to a labour reform programme. Now, migrants make up the vast majority of Qatar's workforce and have been vital in building the 8 stadiums and other facilities for the tournament. With a population of less than 3 million, Qatar has long been reliant on foreign labour, but the working conditions and rights afforded to them have consistently created deep reservations. The most vocal nation in opposition to a Qatar World Cup has been Norway. A group of top-flight Norwegian clubs, backed by their supporters, proposed a boycott of next year's event. This is more than just sport, Trond Haugvik, chairman of Odd in the southern city of Skane, told The Athletic in March. This is more about the soul of football. With qualifying underway, a formal vote was taken in June on whether Norway should boycott Qatar, but only 121 of the 489 delegates of the Norwegians' FA Federal Parliament offered the proposals their support. But the players from the national team have continued to make a stand. They wore t-shirts carrying the slogan "Human Rights on and off the pitch" ahead of their first World Cup qualifying game in March, and during their last international break held up a banner that read "Fair play for migrant workers" before facing the Netherlands. And they've not been alone. Norway's Scandinavian neighbours Denmark have taken a similarly disapproving stance, with national team coach Kasper Hjulmand saying that any player who declines to play at the World Cup in Qatar, if they qualify, would have his support. In September, Sweden's Football Federation cancelled plans for a training camp in Qatar in January after several Swedish clubs expressed concern. European powerhouses Germany and the Netherlands also made their feelings clear in the spring. German players lined up shoulder to shoulder before a qualifier against Iceland, wearing shirts printed with individual letters that spelt out human rights. The Dutch made it clear that they have no intention of boycotting a Qatar World Cup, but wore the same t-shirts as their Danish counterparts before facing Latvia in their first home qualifier in March. Now, FIFA do not allow political statements, but chose not to penalise any of the nations involved. FIFA believes in the freedom of speech and in the power of football as a force for good, a statement read. Now, so far, none of the nations in the UK or Ireland have followed the same course. The English FA has written to FIFA President Gianni Infantino, voicing concerns and calling for urgent and concrete action, but there is yet to be any visible on-field protest by the English players, even though Amnesty International has urged them to join those teams demonstrating. Qatar, though, has always been able to rely on FIFA for its support, and that shows no signs of changing. The game's world governing body, in fact, believes that taking the World Cup to the tiny state has been an important catalyst for change there. Since the FIFA World Cup was awarded to Qatar, it has to be recognised that there's been significant progress in the matter of labour rights and standards in the country, and these reforms go far wider than anything to do with football or the tournament, FIFA said in a statement given to The Athletic in March. Qatar also says that it's done more to improve conditions for its workers than any other country in the Arabian Gulf region, and contests the high estimates of worker deaths. Since construction began in 2014, there have been 3 work-related fatalities and 35 non-work-related deaths, a spokesman for Qatar's Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy claimed in a March statement. But while FIFA's support of Qatar has been unrelenting, so has been the pressure from Amnesty International. Only last month, the organisation published a new report titled "In the Prime of Their Lives," which alleges the deaths of thousands of migrant workers in Qatar were not investigated. When relatively young and healthy men die suddenly after working long hours in extreme heat, it raises serious questions about the safety of working conditions in Qatar, said Stephen Cockburn, Amnesty's head of economic and social justice. A spokesperson for the Qatari government said that they do not support or agree with the position that Amnesty has taken against Qatar. And really none of this threatens the World Cup. It's too late for it to be played anywhere other than Qatar, but the hope is that a continued application of pressure, whether through teams or FAs, will have a lasting impact. UEFA established a working group with FIFA in May and has sent delegates to visit Qatar. Gijs de Jong, part of UEFA's visiting team, said, "It is clear that Qatar has made significant positive progress with human rights legislation in the last 3 years. The challenge is that the legalization is not yet universally adopted, and there is need for further work. Further delegations are expected to be sent over in the next 12 months."